Hi, and welcome to episode 102 of the Heartland Knits podcast. My name is Vicki, but you can find me as Heartland Knits on Ravelry and Instagram, and today is Sunday, April 12th, 2015. Today is the day we should have had last week when it was Easter. It feels like spring here. It's 65 and sunny, and there's a little breeze. I have the porch door open, and there's kids playing outside, so hopefully they're not too excited and screaming too much, but it's just too nice out to have the house closed up. So, welcome to the episode this week. I have some new on the needles to show you, some finished projects to show you, a little imaginity to show you. So let's start out with what's on the needles. I have a brand new project to show you. It is using a yarn which I spindle spun last summer. If you weren't watching last summer, I'll just kind of quickly explain. I have a friend who just enjoys dyeing yarn and fiber. She doesn't have a business of doing it. She just kind of enjoys it. So kind of a couple times a year maybe, or once a year, she dyes a bunch of stuff. And like a year and a half ago, I was lucky enough that she gave me 2 braids of fiber actually as a gift. And the yarn that I have that I'm using for this project was spun from one of those braids. And it's this really pretty gradient. It's not coming out, the colors aren't coming out quite right there. It's kind of the Marsala color, kind of color of the year is that inside one, and then it gets lighter, and then this on the outside is sort of a champagne kind of color. That's maybe a little bit closer what it looks like. But even though it's a gradient, it's still there's some variation in from the plies. What I did, this is a 2-ply, and what I did when I was spinning it is split the entire thing into 2 so that I would get a 2-ply, but that the colors would match up. And there's a little bit, you can see the variation in a little bit where colors overlapped and stuff, which is fine with me. So I spindle spun this last summer, and I think I plied it on the wheel because I really don't enjoy spindle plying. And it came out to be kind of a light fingering, heavy lace weight. It's not really a true lace weight, but it's light. It's definitely thinner than a fingering weight. And this is 100% merino. And I came out with 622 yards. So I have, a fair amount I could, to do a shawl with. So I started a shawl with the yarn, and I'm just so this is kind of where I am. I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. And I was so happy with it. You could see that kind of wavy line. I wanted to do, it's going to have little bits of sections with the lace pattern. And I'm using the same lace pattern that I put at the bottom of the bows. So it has these eyelets, and then it has this kind of, it's a little bit of texture, but it will make it wavy. And that dark line just happened to fall right in the middle of the first little kind of lace repeat, which just happened. So I'm so entirely happy that shows up like that. And so I'm just kind of making this up as I go along. I'll do kind of, right now I'm going to do sections of the lace, sections of, I think, just stockinette. I don't know, I might change my mind. And then maybe on the edge I'll do an applied edge, or I don't know, I'm not really sure. When I just started this yesterday, and when I first wound this and I was going to start it, I was going to use the lightest color and then go to the darkest. And then I decided to flip it so that I'm going to go from the darkest to the lightest. Um, I have another mutual friend of the dyer and myself had a braid of fiber, and she spun it, and she knit a shawl that was done that way, and it looked really pretty with the light color on the outside. So I'm completely copying her. I mean, not the same design. She did sort of like I think like a half shawl kind of design, and it looked beautiful, as everything she knits does. But so that is my brand new project. I have this on 4mm needles, um, and I'm really liking the fabric. It's nice and lightweight. It feels like summery and pretty. So that is what's on my needles. The bohus is still on my needles. My egg bohus. I really didn't work on it at all last week. But now I started that shawl yesterday and then restarted it again last night. And I, I'm started thinking, okay, I'll have this kind of on the go, and it's like a nice, enjoyable, kind of relaxing, not have to have your eyes, glued to a chart kind of knitting. And then I'm feeling like I want to pick up the bohus again and get going on knitting it. So, but that's what's really the only thing on my needles, which probably will tell you that I have something off the needles, and is what was on the needles last week. And I finished my Out of Darkness little shawlette. This was out of a skein of yarn that I received from my ZK roommate last year. And so I'm just going to hold it up. So this is Out of Darkness by Boo Knits. It's a crescent shape, so I'm going to try to back up as far as I can go, and so you can see it's got long tails. But it is, I'm really, really happy with how it came out. It's alpaca lace weight from Tailored Fibers, and the color was called April Showers. And so I did put these little beads. I don't know if they're going to pick up right along the edge there, like the, so just little crystalline beads to kind of look like streaks of raindrops. And it was the week to be knitting this. It rained and rained and rained this week. Every time I woke up at night, it would be pouring down rain. So it seemed like it was the perfect week to be knitting this shawl. I'm holding it up for a really long time because I'm hoping that YouTube will grab one of these pictures for its to use for its little thumbnail picture. It just randomly grabs a picture. So I want one that like shows it. So I'm holding it up for a long time. I did the little picot edge. There you can see the beads on it. I did do one extra lace repeat because I had quite a bit of yardage. I started out with size 3mm up at the top, and then I went all the way down to 4mm needles at the bottom. So like from size 3 to size 6 needles. So kept with every repeat of the pattern, I sort of went up a needle size. And I still ended up with, let's see, I ended up with this much yarn left, which is 14 grams. I might have been able to eke out another of the lace repeats. I measured from this one, and it was about 10 grams that I used. And so I had 14 left. So, but as it gets bigger and bigger, you're using more for the edging, more for that picot bind off. So it probably would have cut it really close, and I didn't want to run out. So I'm happy with the size of it. and I grabbed this because the color is like it's this color, and I just pulled this out of this is like a little bulb that comes up in the spring, and it's kind of what's blowing it out, but it's these same exact colors. I can't remember if this is a Scylla or a Pushkinia. It's one of them, I think, but um, I just grabbed one because it was the very same colors. So I'm very, very happy with how this came out. Um, the Pico bind off, I'm especially happy with this time. I like how it just has like a nice little like scalloped patterns. And what I did is I kept increasing needle sizes, and I went the last right side row is where I changed to the size 6, the 4 millimeter, and then I cast off with that needle. So, but I cast off, like tried to do it quite firmly. So I like how it just, when it blocked open, I kind of blocked the point of this one down, and these just kind of went into line just perfectly by themselves almost. So I am happy with that. It is, oh, and I was especially happy too with, I did the top part as a garter, and then I don't know if it's going to show, but like right in these sections, right in here, she sort of goes between, like blends it from the garter section into all of the lace part is done in stockinette, and so she takes you through and is blends the garter into the stockinette. So I thought that was very well done. I the pattern calls for kind of the entire shawl to be studded with beads, and I think I would, if I was doing this plain, I wasn't like really happy with how like some of the decreases were done and things, but I think that was because I wasn't putting the beads in. I think she sort of strategically did decreases in this way so to like work around the bead placement that she was doing. So I do want to knit another one of these and do the whole full beading on it, because it I think it would be really, really pretty. And I have some Kid Silk Haze in kind of a, I don't know if it's called pearl or fog or something, but it's a real kind of pale like fawn color. And then I have beads that I bought to go with it that are, it's a package of beads, and they're all in that same tone, but they're all kind of tonal, and I think that would be really pretty to do with this. So yeah, so I have that is my finished project, and I have one more finished project to show you that you didn't even know, I didn't even know I was going to do. It just kind of came about because I was looking through old spin-offs and saw this and thought, I'm going to like just try that quick. And this is, I made a little flower, and these are made out of little Weave It squares. Let me grab my Weave It. So I have a little Weave It, but this is the same thing as the Zoom Loom that is out right now. It's, one of these little pin looms, but it's got the placement with the kind of, the little 3 nails kind of separated. So, this one is the Weave It. You can find these actually in like antique stores. The Weave Its themselves aren't sold anymore, but the Zoom looms are that you can get. And so I got that a long time ago. I actually traded a friend of mine a skein of yarn for it, because right when I wanted to like try something out, they kind of just had gone off the market. So I made, when I got it, I was just kind of getting into spindling, and I made a bunch of little squares out of spindle spun little bits and things. And so that's what I came across, um, a little article in an old spin-off showing how to make these out of little, like little flowers out of there. So I thought I'm going to really quickly show you because it's so dead simple. So you have a little square, and you can do these out of just like simple weave. These were, I was like doing like little, like different kind of weaves. There's like a website where they have kind of the original Weave It, which were back in like the 20s, 30s, um, like the booklets that had all kinds of different weaves. So all that you do to make the flowers, you have your little square, and you can just eyeball it and pick a thread kind of in the middle, like, and like just make it, like draw a thread out, and then there's the one on the other going the other direction, and you pull that one out too. So now you've got these two threads, and it just kind of opens up, and you can kind of sculpt it a little bit to make it petally, and you just tie a knot. You've got these two ends here. You just tie a knot, and then you do that again, and kind of bring the um, the little ends down through, so that I can show you. I have two colors, and I've got, so like two petals, kind of offset them, tie them together, and then I just put a little button in the middle to make the center of the flower. And then the leaf, all that you do for that, I'll try to squiggle this out, is you have a square, and you just fold um, corners in to kind of make a parallelogram, and then you scrunch that together, and that's what, when it's green, it looks like a leaf, and then you just like sew that on the bottom. Simple. So yeah, so if you've got one of those, and or you have like a lot of little squares, I have a bunch of little squares in mine that I started doing different ones. I was going to do a blanket. So anyway, I just made one of those just so I would remember how to do it. And I'm kind of saying it on here just so if I forget, I can go back and see how I did it. So those are my finished projects. I have no spinning for you really this week, but I do have a little imagining, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but I have been thinking. I haven't been I was so caught up in the bohus, and then I kind of finished that shawl off and laid it out. I stayed up really late Friday night, finished the edge on it, and blocked it first thing on yesterday morning, and then thought, well, now what am I going to knit? I had all day, all Saturday I could knit. And what am I going to knit? And I didn't kind of have something like just waiting in the wings. And I didn't really feel like picking up the bohus. And so I started, looking around, and I came up with this yarn, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Where I knew the spindle spun yarn, I knew I wanted to knit a shawl, so I started playing around with that. But I came across this yarn, which I bought in September at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. I bought this yarn, which is Sun Valley Fibers, this gorgeous, gorgeous pink. It's called Fire Witch Pink, and this is her MCN, and I have a sweater's worth of this yarn. So I have this out so that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I know I want to knit a cardigan, but I'm not sure which cardigan. And but I love this color, and so I have it out to sort of try to get a little bit of inspiration to what I want to knit with it. So I don't know. I have I have a couple things. I have plenty of yardage, so I could even do something with cables or I don't know. So anyway, this is my what I hope to knit on soonly after the bohus is finished, or maybe before it's finished. I don't know. Um, so that is all that I have for you. It's another kind of quick show, I know. Um, but I want to get out and take a walk, and I bought M&Ms. I'm going to make M&M cookies. It just seems the right thing to do. But I want to thank everybody for watching this show, and I want to thank a bunch of people who left me iTunes reviews. Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you guys. And because the podcast is on iTunes, I think it's important to stay on iTunes. It is actually, that's how I watch most of my podcasts too, is through iTunes. So I think it's important to stay on there. But it's also up on YouTube now. It's Heartland Knits is the channel, 2 words, and you can follow it there and subscribe there. And it's also, I put a embed on the blog, which is heartlandknits.blogspot.com. I put it on there too. So you can watch it any way you want. And we have the Ravelry group, which is Friends of Heartland Knits. And so you can come over there. Do join, and there is a giveaway running through April. So it's to kind of show me your favorite knitting or your first knitting or something. It's been wonderful to see the pictures that people are posting. Really, really fun to hear their stories and stuff. So do come over and join that. And until I see you next week, from my heart to yours, happy knitting.